The American decisions that changed Cambodia's history. Forever history is often shaped not only by wars on the battlefield, but by decisions made quietly behind closed doors. For Cambodia, a series of choices made by the United States during the Cold War would permanently alter the nation's future, politically, socially, and historically. These decisions were not always intended to transform Cambodia, yet their consequences proved irreversible. In the 1960s, Cambodia stood in a fragile position. It was a small country surrounded by conflict, officially neutral, and struggling to stay out of the Vietnam War. For the United States, however, Cambodia was never just a neutral nation. It was a strategic space, a buffer zone, and a potential weakness in the broader Cold War struggle against communism. American policymakers viewed Southeast Asia through the lens of global ideology. Every country mattered, regardless of size. Decisions were driven by fear that instability in one nation could trigger a chain reaction across the region. Cambodia, located between Vietnam, Laos, and Thailand, became central to this strategic thinking. One of the most consequential American decisions was to prioritize military strategy over Cambodian neutrality. U.S. leaders believed enemy forces were operating near or inside Cambodian territory. Rather than relying on diplomacy alone, they chose covert action. These decisions were made in secrecy, without public debate, and often without full awareness of their long-term consequences. Military operations were only one part of the equation. Political calculations also shaped Cambodia's fate. The United States supported certain political outcomes while undermining others, believing this would stabilize the region. In reality, these interventions weakened Cambodia's internal balance and deepened divisions within its society. As external pressure increased, Cambodia's political system became more fragile. Institutions eroded, trust in leadership declined, and rural communities suffered the most. Decisions made thousands of miles away began to reshape daily life on the ground. Villages were destabilized, economies disrupted, and social order fractured. What makes these decisions especially significant is that they were interconnected. Military actions intensified political instability. Political instability fueled internal conflict. Internal conflict invited further intervention. Step by step, Cambodia was drawn into a cycle it could no longer control. From the American perspective, these decisions were tactical responses to a global threat. Cambodia was not the primary focus, but a piece of a much larger strategic puzzle. Yet for Cambodians, the impact was immediate and personal. Their country became a testing ground for Cold War policy, where human costs were secondary to geopolitical goals. Over time, the consequences became impossible to ignore. Cambodia's neutrality collapsed. Violence spread. The nation entered a period of profound turmoil that would define an entire generation. The effects of these American decisions did not end when the Cold War moved on. They became embedded in Cambodia's historical trajectory. Perhaps the most lasting impact was psychological. Trust in foreign powers diminished. National trauma deepened. The idea that a small country could control its own destiny in a world of superpowers seemed increasingly fragile. Looking back, it is clear that no single decision alone changed Cambodia forever. It was the accumulation of choices, made under pressure, in secrecy, and driven by ideology, that reshaped the nation. These decisions remind us that power carries responsibility, and that actions taken for strategic advantage can carry consequences far beyond their original intent. Cambodia's story is not just a chapter in American foreign policy. It is a lesson in how global decisions can permanently transform a nation's path. The echoes of those choices are still felt today, long after the Cold War has ended. This is the story of how decisions made far from Cambodia changed its history forever.